Welcome to the Win Streaks preview and prediction of all 32 NFL teams for the upcoming 2017 season. Over the next few weeks, I will be covering all 32 teams, so please subscribe on YouTube or the podcast platform you're listening on so you don't miss an episode. My name is Corey Foister. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Corey Foister. Follow the show on social media. That is Twitter at Win Streak News, Facebook.com/TheWinStreak, thewinstreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Soaring Jets Productions. If you are listening on YouTube right now, drop us a comment. How good or bad do you think the Indianapolis Colts are going to be this year? Contact us at either soaringjetsproductions@gmail.com or thewinstreak.com/contact. Join our Fantasy Football League. You can find out more information about that on our official Facebook page. Top 10 Super Bowl matchups we want to see is our latest top 10 episode, so please check that out as well. Me and my co-host Brandon Myers do a weekly wrap-up show, so please check that out as well if this is the first time you've ever listened to a Win Streak episode. Today I am doing the 2017 Colts preview and predictions. This will be the Indianapolis Colts' 65th season in the NFL, the 34th in Indianapolis, and the 6th under head coach Chuck Pagano. First under new general manager Chris Ballard. He was the former Kansas City Chief Director of Football Operations. The owner of the Indianapolis Colts is Jim Irsay. He can be a really smart football guy, and he can also be really, really stupid. He should probably stay off Twitter. He's gotten in trouble on Twitter more than a few times, and if he makes any more big controversial tweets, then maybe he should consider running for president here in a couple years. Colts finished the 2016 season with a 8-8 record, good for third in the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts had two Pro Bowlers, wide receiver T.Y. Hilton and punter Pat McAfee. Colts missed the playoffs in consecutive seasons for the first time since 1997 and 1998. The Colts got swept by the Houston Texans for the first time in franchise history. They won only 4 road games and 4 home games last season. The Baltimore Colts advanced to the playoffs 10 times and won 3 NFL championship games in 1958, 1959, and 1968. The Colts played in 2 Super Bowl games while based in Baltimore, losing to the New York Jets in Super Bowl III while defeating the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl V. The Colts famously relocated in the middle of the night to Indianapolis in 1984, have appeared in the playoffs 16 times, won 2 conference championships, and appeared in 2 Super Bowls, beating the Bears, but losing to the New Orleans Saints. 2 Super Bowl championships overall for the Colts organization, the first one being in 1970, and the second one being in 2006. 7 conference championships, 16 division championships, and 27 playoff appearances from 2002 until 2010. They did not miss the playoff one time. That is pretty impressive, and that just highlights how such a great team the Indianapolis Colts are. They are a great franchise in the NFL, and it's hard to believe they've only won 2 Super Bowls being that good. The Colts' last playoff game was the 2015 AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. Famously, the game sparked Deflategate, which eventually, just this past season, Tom Brady served a 4-game suspension, caused a lot of controversy, but that is the last game. Everybody thought this was going to be the end of the Patriots dynasty, and it was going to hurt the Patriots. It did the opposite. It was actually the Colts that seemed to get more hurt from it. Forbes ranks the Colts as the 18th most valuable franchise in the NFL. Moving on to franchise what if. What if the Colts had beat the New York Jets back in 1969? the AFL teams may have never became equal to NFL teams. The Jet franchise may have never even lasted because the New York Giants had been playing in the New York area since the 1920s. So the Jets could have easily folded up if they didn't have that Super Bowl title. It's really hard to believe now, all these years ago, now with the Giants having 4 Super Bowl titles and the Jets just having one. The Jets had a Super Bowl title, and the Giants didn't get a title until the 80s. So the Jets almost went roughly about over 15 years as the only New York team with a Super Bowl title, and it really helped the Jets because seeing the Jets, especially this year, they are severely, they are the little brother to the New York Giants, to say it nicely. And also, maybe the Colts would have stayed in Baltimore, possibly with another title. Who knows? Another big franchise what if. This is probably the bigger franchise what if of the two I came up with. What happened if the Indianapolis Colts went with Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning in the 1998 NFL Draft? That would have been a disaster. If you're a San Diego Chargers fan, you love this scenario because you'd probably be sitting there right now. Probably the Chargers would still be in San Diego. Peyton Manning would have probably got San Diego to build the Chargers a new stadium, just how Peyton Manning did that in Indianapolis. They were playing in the RC Dome, and they got the nice Lucas Oil Stadium, the stadium that Peyton Manning built. He really helped put the Colts on the map nationally. So if they would have went with Ryan Leaf, who knows? The Colts may not even be in Indianapolis right now if they would have went with Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning. The smartest move the Indianapolis Colts have ever made. And really, it just highlights how lucky they went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. I can't think of a franchise that is more lucky. I'm the only one that can come off the top of my head is the 49ers, them going from Joe Montana to Steve Young. But when the 49ers went from Joe Montana to Steve Young won them a Super Bowl. They're still waiting for Andrew Luck to win a Super Bowl. Can they do it this year? Let's find out. 2017 outlook for the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts could be a good team if, and I do want to stress this, if Andrew Luck can stay healthy and his shoulder is fine. That is a big if. Luck is currently on the physically unable to perform list. There's a lot of vagueness coming from the Colts organization. Nobody really knows when Andrew Luck is going to be able to start throwing and play in games. It could just be the preseason, and this could all blow over in a couple weeks, or we could enter week one where Andrew Luck is sitting on the bench because he's just not ready to play. There's rumors that he could be out 6 to 8 regular season games. That would be awful. That's pretty much your season right there. You have to question, do they go out and get Colin Kaepernick? The whole franchise is riding on Andrew Luck's right shoulder. Colin Kaepernick is an option to save the season, but Colts may shy away from him and just take losses because, Jay Cutler just went to the Miami Dolphins. There's not a lot of good options out there. If Tony Romo comes back, I still think the Cowboys have his contract, so the Colts would have to give something up to the Cowboys to let him play. I don't see Romo coming back and playing this season. I find that very far-fetched. And the Colts' backup quarterback is not going to save your season and get you into the playoffs. It's not no knock on the backup quarterbacks of the Colts, but it's a hard league. You're not going to fall in to a playoff spot with a second-string quarterback. It will be very interesting to see how new general manager Chris Ballard and head coach Chuck Pagano gets along now that they're not attached to the hip. Usually, general managers want to hire their own head coach, so it's going to be interesting. Chuck Pagano could become the scapegoat in Indianapolis if things go really bad. Even if Andrew Luck plays, but they end up 4-5 games. They only win about 4 or 5 games. You could see him quickly becoming a scapegoat and Ballard firing him after the season. General manager Ballard made some good moves to repair an awful defense. Jonathan Hankins Jabal Sheard, and John Simon will all greatly improve the Colts defense this season. Colts can contend for the AFC South. It's a wide open division. Personally, to me, I favor the Tennessee Titans over the Indianapolis Colts. I would even probably put the Houston Texans over the Indianapolis Colts just because of how great the that Texas defense is. That Texas defense is nothing to laugh at. That is an impressive defense. Biggest positive change is getting rid of general manager Ryan Gregson. He made some awful, and I do mean awful moves since Peyton Manning left for Denver. He had a great quarterback on a cheap rookie contract and did absolutely nothing. He should have did basically what the Seattle Seahawks did with Russell Wilson and invest it in the future while you have your great rookie quarterback under a cheap rookie contract. Gregson brought in a bunch of non-contributor and wasted the window when Luck was good and cheap. Biggest negative, Luck took 41 sacks last season, and the franchise still hasn't invested in protecting Luck. Colts bringing back pretty much the same offensive line that didn't get the job done last season. It just doesn't inspire confidence in me and anybody who isn't. Even if you are a Colts fan, I just don't know how you can be big on the Colts because you need to invest in a offensive line that protects your star quarterback, and the Colts are not doing that. And I'm just sitting here kind of scratching my head. What are they doing wrong here? Uh, Chuck Pagano's job is safe unless the season turns into a tire fire quickly. Likely has one more season to turn things around before he becomes basically the scapegoat for general manager Ballard. I like Chuck Pagano. I think Chuck Pagano can be a good head coach, and I think he is. It's just that their former general manager Ryan Grigson was just awful. He made some awful moves, and you can't succeed when you have a general manager that doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Going to the preseason schedule, at home against the Lions, at Dallas, at Pittsburgh, and home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Not a bad preseason schedule. Going on to the regular season schedule, Colts have 4 primetime games at Seattle on Sunday Night Football, at Tennessee on Monday Night Football, Broncos at home on NFL Network, and at Baltimore on NFL Network. Going worst case, best case scenario, you open up the season September 10th at Los Angeles against the LA Rams. Worst case scenario, you don't have Andrew Luck and you lose to the LA Rams. And even though, personally to me, I think the Colts are a overall better team, definitely a better team than the Los Angeles Rams. But hey, you got a quarterback and Goff. I'm not highly on Goff. I'm not big on Goff, but he's better than whatever the Indianapolis Colts are going to throw out there if they don't have Andrew Luck. But best case scenario, Andrew Luck comes back and he wins you that game, or you get Colin Kaepernick or a solid backup quarterback that can actually win you some game and you win in Los Angeles. September 17th, worst case scenario, you lose this game. Best case scenario, I can actually see you beating the Arizona Cardinals at home. It really depends. I don't know. I kind of lean that the Cardinals are going to have a bounce back season. I just don't think it's going to be the bounce back season that gets them back into the playoff, but they'll be a lot more respectable. September 24th, the final September game, home for the Cleveland Browns. Best case, worst case, I say you beat the Cleveland Browns. I believe that the Cleveland Browns could win up to 6 games this season. I like the Cleveland Browns, but I just don't think they can go to Indianapolis and win, especially if Andrew Luck is the starting quarterback. So you go into October. Worst case scenario, you are 1-2. Best case scenario, you are 3-0. October 1st at Seahawks. Best case, worst case, I say you lose that game. It's very hard to play in Seattle. October 8th, home for the 49ers. Best case, worst case, You beat the 49ers. The 49ers have no quarterback. Even if Andrew Luck is hurt for a while, you would hope he would be back for the 5th game of the regular season. If he's not back, then you have a lot more bigger problems, bigger worries, and if you're going to beat the 49ers or not. You have to kind of question the whole future of the Indianapolis franchise. So, the 49ers are doing a lot of good things. I like their new head coach and new general manager, but this season for the 49ers is going to be awful, and I don't see the 49ers getting any more than maybe at best 3 or 4 wins. At Tennessee against the Titans, to me, I'm big on the Tennessee Titans, so worst case, best case, I think you lose to the Titans in Tennessee. October 22nd, home for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Worst case scenario, you lose to the Jaguars. Best case scenario, you win to the Jaguars. Even worst case scenario, I could honestly change that L to a W because I'm just not buying the Jacksonville Jaguars at all. Final game of October at Cincinnati, a short travel game. Worst case, you lose this game. Best case, you win this game. It really depends if you got Andrew Luck. Once again, like I said, all these games, especially these games that are hard but definitely doable, like the Cincinnati Bengals, it comes down to who's starting under center. So you go into November. Worst case scenario, you are 2-6. Best case scenario, you are 6-2. November 5th at Texans. Worst case scenario, you lose this game. Best case scenario, you win this game. November 12th, Pittsburgh Steelers. You're in Indianapolis, so you have a slight chance to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But for me, worst case, best case, you lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you have a bye. November 26th, home for the Tennessee Titans. Once again, I'm big on the Tennessee Titans, so maybe I'm totally biased here. I promise I'm not a Tennessee Titans fan, but worst case, best case, I see the Tennessee Titans beating the Colts and sweeping the Colts this year. Going into December, worst case scenario, the Colts are 2-9. Best case, they are 7-4. December at Jacksonville. Best case, worst case, you win that game, along with December 10th at Buffalo. Best case, worst case, you win that game. December 14th, Broncos, a Thursday night game. Worst case, you lose this game. Andrew Luck is hurt. Best case, you should win this game against the Broncos. Yes, they have a scary defense, but they don't have a scary quarterback. They have a scary quarterback situation. I'm worried about the Denver Broncos. December 23rd at Baltimore. Best case, worst case, you lose this game. The only way I see you beating the Baltimore Ravens is if Joe Flacco is hurt and isn't playing. Final game of the season at home for the Tennessee Titans on December 31st. Best case, worst case, I see you losing to the Houston Texans. So, best case scenario, I can see the Indianapolis Colts finishing 10-6. Worst case scenario, and I do mean worst case, Andrew Luck doesn't play at all. I can see the Indianapolis Colts winning 4 games. So 4-12. My final prediction is that Andrew Luck will be out, miss some games, sadly might get hurt again, but he will win you a few games. So my final prediction, 6-10. If Andrew Luck starts week 1 and he doesn't get hurt, I can see easily the Colts winning, going 8-8, maybe even 9-7, possibly getting that second wild card. I think the first wild card team is probably going to have 10 or 11 wins. I think the AFC side is going to be rough this season. I mean, just looking at the schedule, at Los Angeles Rams to open up, that's a game that you need if you're going to make the playoffs. And if Andrew Luck is missing week 1, then that's an easy game out the window unless you go out there and sign Colin Kaepernick. The Cardinals, that could go either way. That's another game that you need to win. You should beat the Browns. If you lose to the Browns, then that's pretty much the whole season right there. At Seattle is going to be very tough. But 49ers, the Browns, they're 2 easy games. Those two Jaguars games should be pretty easy. At Bengals, that's another one kind of on the bubble. It's not extremely hard, but it's not extremely easy at the same time. Those two games against the Texans, the Steelers, the Broncos, and then at Baltimore. So the Colts have a tough schedule, especially when you get down to November and December if they're trying to make a playoff push. But it all comes down to Andrew Luck. I just don't buy that Andrew Luck will be quarterbacking all 16 games. But like I said, if he does, then I can totally see them winning 8, 9, maybe even 10 games in a good scenario. But the thing is, it's already the second week in August, and he still has not thrown a football, and it just doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. So if you're listening on YouTube or on the podcast, drop me a message and let me know, what do you think the Colts are going to do this year? What do you think their record will be when it's all said and done? My name is, once again, Corey Foister. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Corey Foister. Follow the show on social media, Twitter at Win Streak News, Facebook.com/TheWinStreak, TheWinStreak.com. Leave a review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Soaring Jets Productions. Contact us at soaringjetproductions@gmail.com or thewinstreak.com/contact. Join our fantasy football league. You can find out more information about that on our social media page. Top 10 Super Bowl matchups we want to see. We do a weekly wrap-up show, so please check that out as well. And also, if you haven't seen the other episodes, this is episode 13 of 32 team previews I am doing. So please go back on the podcast feed or on YouTube, and there's a playlist made of all 32 teams that will automatically go to the next team. So please check that out. Until next time, keep winning, everybody.